Alright, here's the next part of Alex Trebek's Memorial Tribute, in which we're going to play our next Jeopardy game, and that is the 1995 PC version. We're just going to do the general knowledge game. I've filmed and posted anything because I've been getting over an illness.
Welcome to Jeopardy! Let's begin our
I
game.
still have a bit of a leftover cough, but I'm feeling a lot better. So I'm well enough to go ahead and do this next segment.
I'm Michael Grant, a commercial airline pilot. I flew jets in the Navy, and I've always been interested in military history.
My name is Vince Thompson. I'm a high school English teacher from Massachusetts, and during the weekends, my wife and I like to direct a local drama club. In fact, right now we're rehearsing Twelfth Night.
All right, contestants, let's begin round one. There's one daily double on the board, and here are the categories.
Fashion, botany, people and places, and finally, the eyes have it.
Good luck. Contestant number one, we'll start with you.
Botany 100.
The answer there is...
Pollination by these is called ornithophily.
Contestant number three.
What are beetles?
Sorry,
No.
that's incorrect. Contestant number one.
What are birds?
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number one, let's take a look at the answer.
And epiphyte is a plant that doesn't have these in the soil. It's supported by another plant.
Contestant number one.
What are roots? Yep.
Good job.
Thank you.
Contestant number one.
It's actually a modified reduced branch if you get our point, and rose gardeners do.
Contestant number two.
Prick? No.
Sorry, incorrect. Anyone else? Contestant number three.
A thorn, yeah.
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number three.
A fertilized ovule develops into one of these.
Contestant number two.
A seed.
You are correct. Contestant number two.
It's the process by which a scion is put on a stalk.
Contestant number three.
Grafting?
Yes,
Yep.
that's correct. Contestant number three.
Angelinos don't live in heaven, but in this U.S. city.
Contestant number one.
What is Los Angeles?
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number one.
Kikuyu, Kalenjin, and Kamba are three of the ethnic groups in this country whose name also starts with K.
Contestant number one.
What is Kenya?
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number one.
Some of these Florida Indians live in open, palm-thatched huts called chickees.
Contestant number one.
Who are the Seminole?
Yes,
Seminole
that's
Indians.
correct. Contestant number one. It's a daily double.
I'll bet it all.
Contestant number one. What would you like to wager?
North China was once called this, a name derived from the Khitan people of Mongolia. What is Cathay?
Yes,
All right.
that's correct. Contestant number one.
When these nomads wandered to Europe, they claimed to come from Little Egypt, hence their name.
Contestant number one.
Who are gypsies?
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number one.
The United Kingdom is divided into 651 constituencies, and each one sends an MP to this house.
Contestant number one.
What is the House of Parliament? No.
Sorry, incorrect. Contestant number two.
The House of Commons, that's right.
You are correct. Contestant number two.
The offices of the government chief whip are at number 12 on this street.
Contestant number one.
What is Downing Street?
You are correct. Contestant number one.
An MP who's not a member of the government or an official opposition spokesman is a back one of these.
Contestant number 3.
Venture?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's correct. Contestant number 3.
moving on. This group drafts and approves the Queen's speech that opens a session of Parliament.
Contestant number 3.
The Cabinet?
You are correct. Contestant number 3.
If you've got a PC after your style, name, and honors, it means you're a member of this.
Contestant number 3.
The Privy Council?
Yes.
Privy Council, yeah.
That's correct. Contestant number 3.
In September 1992, Manon Rhéaume became the first woman to play a game in one of the 4 major team sports. This one.
Contestant number 1.
What is football?
Sorry, incorrect.
Strudel.
Contestant number 2.
Ice hockey?
Yes,
Oh, ice hockey.
that's correct. Contestant number 2.
Alright.
Here is the clue.
After 9 attempts, jockey Pat Day finally won this horse race on May 2nd, 1992, riding Little E.T., a 16-1 long shot.
Contestant number 1.
What is the Kentucky Derby?
Yes,
There we go.
that's correct. Contestant number 1. The answer is...
In 1992, coach Joe Gibbs led this team to his 3rd Super Bowl win by defeating Buffalo 37-24.
Contestant number 3.
49ers? I don't think so.
Incorrect. Contestant number 2.
Steelers?
Sorry, incorrect.
If I were to guess, I'd say either the Green Bay Packers or the Miami Dolphins. One of those two. Washington Redskins, so it's neither one.
Contestant number 1.
Brian Scheimer and football player Herschel Walker finished 7th in this 2-man event in the 1992 Winter Olympics.
Contestant number 3.
The 2-man bobsled?
You are correct.
Yep.
Contestant number 3.
This Texas Rangers pitcher ended the 1992 season with 319 victories and a record 5,668 career strikeouts.
Contestant number 2.
Steve Carlton? No.
No, I'm afraid that is not correct. Contestant number 3.
Nolan Ryan. That's what I was thinking. But I didn't buzz in time.
Good job.
Oh well.
Contestant number 3. Let's take a look at the answer.
In the early 70s, Women's Wear Daily coined this sizzling term for women's short shorts.
Contestant number 1.
What are hot pants?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
Formerly worn as a decorative item, this garment is now used mainly in the kitchen.
Contestant number 1.
What is an apron?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
In 1986, this Meryl Streep Robert Redford film sparked a new trend in safari wear.
Contestant number 1.
What is out of Africa?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
This main outer garment of Hindu women consists of a piece of cloth usually 5 to 7 yards long.
Contestant number 1.
What is a sari?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
The basque is the most common style of this soft, round cap.
Contestant number 1.
What is a beret?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
In the U.S., Washington is second only to this state in potato production.
Contestant number 1.
What is Idaho?
You are correct. Contestant number 1. Here is the clue.
It could be a native of Spain or of Portugal.
Contestant number 1.
What is an Iberian?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
Encyclopedia Americana says these South American Indians once made cloth from bat hair.
Contestant number 1.
Who are the Incas?
Yes. Select again. Contestant number 1.
This kind of manuscript is lit up with ornamental letters and colorful decorations. Don't know.
Contestant number 2?
That doesn't start with an I.
Sorry, incorrect.
Not picturesque.
Anyone else?
Doesn't start with an I.
Contestant number 3.
Illuminated, I think so.
You are correct. Contestant number 3. The answer is...
Of all the fish diseases, this one has the shortest name.
Contestant number 3.
Nope.
I'm sorry. That's wrong. Contestant number 2?
Yep. Double Jeopardy coming up.
Yes, that's correct.
And I'm in the lead.
Now for the Double Jeopardy round, with 2
World
daily
history,
doubles somewhere on the board in
operettas,
these categories.
Art, politicians, archaeology, and finally, literary trivia.
Good luck. Contestant number 2, we'll start with you. The answer there is...
In 1981, Wojciech Jaruzelski established martial law in this country and outlawed solidarity.
Contestant number 1?
What is Poland?
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number 1?
Great Britain was twice rejected for membership in this economic union. It became a member in 1973.
Contestant number 3.
European Energy Community.
Sorry, incorrect. Contestant number 1?
What is the European Common Market?
You are correct.
Community.
Contestant number 1?
The middle class that arose in medieval society was called burgesses in England and this in France.
Contestant number 3.
Bourgeoisie?
Yes,
Yep.
that's correct.
Bourgeoisie.
Contestant number 3.
Famous price of the novels written by Ned Buntline.
Contestant number 1?
What is a dime? Dime novels, yep.
Correct.
Literary Trivia 1000.
Contestant number 1.
Time magazine called the working author the tape recorder's best friend.
Contestant number 3.
Nope, not Studs Longan.
Sorry.
Lonergan, however you say it.
Contestant number 2.
Studs Terkel, yeah.
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number 2.
Americans fought in the Abraham Lincoln Battalion in this 1936-1939 conflict.
Contestant number 1.
What is the Spanish Civil War?
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number 1.
In 1832, Otto, a Bavarian prince, was named the first king of this Balkan country.
Contestant number 1.
What is Albania?
Sorry.
Not Albania.
Contestant number 3.
Greece.
You are correct.
Okay.
Contestant number 3.
The Whig candidate of 1852. He held the rank of general in 3 wars.
Contestant number 3.
Winfield Scott.
You are
Yep.
correct. Contestant number 3.
Similar artifacts found in Siberia and off Alaska indicate that a land bridge once existed across this strait.
Contestant number 1.
What is the Bering Strait?
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number 1. The answer is...
Bones dating from Mesolithic times indicate that this wolf relative was the first domesticated animal.
Contestant number 1.
What is the coyote?
Wrong.
It's not
Contestant number 2.
the dog. Oh, the dog, okay.
You are correct. Contestant number 2.
In the early 1970s, it was reported that the Grand Griffon flagship of this fleet was found in Scottish waters.
Contestant number 1.
What is the Spanish Armada?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
Early in World War II, fossils of this man were lost in an attempt to smuggle them out of China.
Contestant number 1.
What is Peking Man?
You are correct. Contestant number 1. The answer there is one of the 2 daily doubles. Contestant number 1.
3,000.
What would you like to wager?
In 1977, an archaeologist uncovered the possible burial site of this king, Alexander the Great's father, who was Philip II of Macedonia.
You are correct.
Yep.
Contestant number 1.
Literary trivia 200. The expression to grow like Topsy comes from this 1852 novel.
Contestant number 1.
What is Uncle Tom's Cabin?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
Dew of June, an Indian heroine, appears in his novel The Pathfinder.
Contestant number 1.
Who is James Fenimore Cooper?
Yes. Select again. Contestant number 1.
The Italian type of this 14-line poem is also known as the Petrarchan.
Contestant number 1.
What is the sonnet?
Yes. That's correct. Contestant number 1.
Garrett A. Hobart and Theodore Roosevelt served as vice presidents under this man. Excuse me.
Contestant number 1.
Who is William McKinley?
Yes. Contestant number 1.
He taught business law at Huntington College in 1975 before becoming vice president.
Contestant number 1.
Who was Nelson Rockefeller?
Sorry. Incorrect.
Oh, man.
Contestant number 2.
Not Ford.
Sorry. Contestant number 3.
Not Nixon.
No, I'm afraid that is not correct. Contestant number 1.
He founded the New York Tribune as a Whig daily, helped form the GOP, and was the Democrats' 1872 presidential candidate.
Contestant number 2.
Not Douglas.
Sorry. Incorrect. Contestant number 3.
Horace Greeley.
Yes. That's correct. Contestant number 3.
Vice President under Truman, he represented Kentucky in Congress before and after his term as Veep.
Contestant number 3.
Allen W. Barkley.
You are correct.
Alvin W.
Contestant
Barkley.
number 3.
Strangely, Man Friday is a mezzo-soprano in this Offenbach work based on a Daniel Defoe book.
Contestant number 1.
What is Robinson Crusoe?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
This British playwright of private lives wrote the twice-filmed operetta Bittersweet.
Contestant number 3.
Noel Coward, yeah.
You are correct. Contestant number 3.
This composer's Die Fledermaus was first performed in Vienna in 1874.
Contestant number 2.
Not Strauss.
Oh, sorry. That's not right. Contestant number 3.
Johann Strauss II.
You are correct. Contestant number 3. It's a daily double.
We go 800 on this clue. All right, here's the clue in operettas. The German title of this Lahar operetta is Der lustige Witwe. The Merry Widow.
You are correct. Contestant number 3.
All right. Most of the score of this duo's first collaboration, Thespis, is lost.
Contestant number 1.
Who are Gilbert and Sullivan?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
In 1888, he painted his house at Arles, his bedroom at Arles, and several still lifes of sunflowers.
Contestant number 1.
Who is Vincent van Gogh?
Good job.
Thank you.
Contestant number 1.
At a 1989 auction, this pop artist's Shot Red Marilyn sold for $4.07 million.
Contestant number 1.
Who is Andy Warhol?
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number 1.
Of winter, spring, summer, or fall, the alternate title of Botticelli's painting Primavera.
Contestant number 1.
What is spring?
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number 1.
Noted Rubens' works included the raising of and descent from this religious symbol.
Contestant number 2.
The cross? Yep.
You are correct. Contestant number 2,
Last clue.
the answer is
Like most of his works, this American sculptor's The Diner features figures cast from living models.
contestant number 2.
George Siegel.
Yes,
Final Jeopardy.
that's
coming
correct. The final Jeopardy
Move your
category
records.
is contestant number 1.
up. I'm just gonna do
What would you
400.
like to wager?
The final Jeopardy clue is
All right. This director's last film, 1976, A Matter of Time, starred Ingrid Bergman and his Oscar-winning daughter.
Contestant number 2, your final Jeopardy response was, sorry, incorrect.
Rossellini.
Let's see what contestant number 2 wagered.
600, so you dropped to 600.
Your total? Contestant number 3, your final Jeopardy response was, sorry,
Now,
that's
Finelli,
incorrect.
Fellini.
Let's see what contestant number 3 wagered.
Oh, half of it, so you dropped to 3,200.
Your total? Contestant number 1, your final Jeopardy response was, right. Let's see what contestant number 1 wagered.
400, so I end up with 13,800, and I'll see you all for the next game.
Your total? Contestant number 1, you are now the reigning Jeopardy champion. Congratulations.